I'm Chris Jablonski.
And I'm Justin Childers, and this is A Stronger Nation.
First, I'm going to give a history of strength training. Since the days of the Egyptians in 2500 BC, man has been fascinated with testing and building strength. But strength training wasn't popularized until the 1930s. But with Charles Atlas and his resistance program, it started to gain popularity. Strength training increased in popularity in the 1960s, as you can see, and then in the 1960s, gyms started popping up. And the gyms we see today are the ones that were, in the 1960s, gyms started popping up. The ones we see today are much like the ones in the 1960s. But strength training really increased in popularity in the 1980s with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Franco Columbu and their bodybuilding feats and adventures. And it has been steadily rising since then. When Arnold put out his movie Pumping Iron, it really inspired a lot more people to try to become bodybuilders and build muscle to try to get their version of the perfect physique as Arnold had.
There are many different types of strength training. The first and the most popular, is just basically the classic form of strength training, is weightlifting. This is when you have dumbbells or barbells and you load them with plates, or you have weight stacks and you resist against them. And while this is probably going to remain the most popular type, there are also other types that can be beneficial when looking at strength training. Another is resistance training. This is really similar to weight training, as they both really have a heavy emphasis on resistance, but this emphasis is more on elastics rather than plates and dumbbells. And anything basically with imposing force, such as air compression, which is becoming more and more popular, can be classified as resistance training. Another type, which we believe is the future of strength training, is bodyweight training. Bodyweight training is essentially free and can be performed almost anywhere as long as you have enough space. And the only resources you really need for bodyweight training are websites that teach you how to bodyweight train. And bodyweight training requires nothing besides just your body weight. And it's equally as beneficial as weight training or resistance training. Two more types are isometric training, and this is the traditionally known as bodybuilding, as its emphasis is really on building bigger muscles rather than building more strength. And it has no compound movements, so basically you're just moving in one direction on the joints, and it isolates the muscles, and it is form over function. On the opposite end of the spectrum is integrated training, which has many compound movements and leads all aspects of leading a healthy life. This is more popular with athletes and is much more function over form.
So next we're going to talk about the benefits of strength training. So the biggest benefit of strength training would be the reduction of symptoms in multiple diseases such as arthritis, diabetes, osteoporosis, obesity, back pain, depression, and countless others. Also, strength training will increase the sturdiness and strength of your tendons and ligaments because of the weight you move around with your body will help them become stronger. Also, a great benefit of strength training is its role in mental health. So not only will strength training increase your confidence when you look better, but also it'll help with diseases such as depression because it releases endorphins, and such as with cardio in any form of exercise, it really makes you just happier. Also, strength training is less monotonous than other forms of exercise such as cardio. So, including me, a lot of people think of cardio and just immediately dread it. So, strength training is a way to really spicing that up. Well, I like to weightlift, but I really hate running. Also, a little known fact is that strength training not only builds muscle but also burns fat. So what happens is your basal metabolic rate is raised, which means you burn more fat just sitting there, because as you build muscle, your body has to burn more calories to keep yourself running. So you'll burn more fat in the long term. Also, like cardio, strength training increases aerobic capacity, which is how much air you can take into your lungs, which is also a huge component of living a healthy life. Also, a big reason people don't strength train is because they say they can't, because they can't get to the gym or they don't have any equipment. But like Justin said, with the rising popularity of bodyweight strength training, really anybody can do it. Because like Justin mentioned, even the internet, you can find multiple websites that will help you figure out how to train with just your body weight and really get stronger with just your body weight.
The fact of the matter is, our nation's health is in jeopardy. Due to the high rate of obesity, as well as the rising rate of suicide. In recent years, the obesity rate in adults has doubled, and even more shockingly, has tripled in adolescents. About 30% of the adult population is medically categorized as obese. This is in part because more than 50% of American adults do not get the recommended amounts of physical activity to obtain the health benefits that physical activity can reap. A person dies by suicide every 13 minutes in the United States. About 15% of the population will suffer from clinical depression at some point in their lives. 7 out of the 10 leading causes of death in the U.S. are directly impacted by being obese. If these problems are so prevalent in our society, then why haven't we looked to things such as strength training for an answer? The truth is, we have. With programs such as Let's Move and Shape Up America putting such an emphasis on cardio, which is torture for many people as it's so monotonous and just not fun for some people, while it is for some others though, and so little emphasis on strength training, which can be appealing to those who prefer other forms of exercise over running, and are also the people who usually are obese as they do not like the forms of exercise that have been constantly pressured onto them for most of their lives. Many Americans are being left behind in the fight against obesity. If we put more of a strength training aspect in these programs, not only will people be physically fitter, but they'll also be in a better place mentally, and more likely to stick with it in comparison to if they were required to run 5 miles a day every day. Obesity and depression are killing Americans at an alarming rate. And while it may not be the tell-all cure, strength training can be a very useful tool. Not only can it improve one's image, but it can also save lives. This is why we believe the practice of strength training and its benefits is an idea worth trying. Spread.
All right, and then we're also going to have a PowerPoint behind us with our major points, and we'll possibly show a clip from Pumping Iron, a short clip, probably 15 and 30 seconds, if we find one, but that hasn't really been decided yet. Thank you.